Well, here we go again. Last time we left little Hutter pressing the wedge on the floor of the marble pit. And so, Chapter 10, Cracked Cavern. Grind, groan, creak, squawk. Orange light, dancing shadows, voices. I told you, see, said voice 1. Stay back, wait, said voice 2. What is it? Whispered voice 3. Tunic and Tanner breeches, don't you notice a Hutter youngling answered prayers, said voice 4, the boldest and most authoritative of the voices. Hutter, are you here for folly or to help us? We are quagged in the boodles of a mud-sticky mess. The arch-lioness has gone. We have no arch-lioness. She flamed herself to ordinary. Thoughtless, we thought, to give no notice, agree or not. And the Jellic Miffin, what can I tell you? It will not rise, not a fippet. Do you note from your perch? Wheels, cranks, pulleys, levers, all useless. The woven ropes, as you can see, have rotted beyond repair. No more bindings. Have you brought some? Hutter, Hutter, are you frozen? Are you a sorceress? Little Hutter was not frozen. She was studying the situation. What was the situation? When the floor opened, the youngling hopped into the widening gap to land on the cat-like head of some sort of huge metallic machine. She observed 4 figures, cloaked and hooded, standing in the shadows of the torchlit cavern. She surveyed them while remaining stillest of still. She weighed options. Little Hutter decided to answer the question posed by the gabby, hooded figure. I am not frozen. I am not a sorceress. I am an oat-field Hutter. I was sent by the ogre. I gave her ladge cakes. She sent me. I fell into the smooth pit. I pressed the glitter. It was... where am I? Said little Hutter. You have descended into the caverns of Obble, where we, the Obblers, dwell. You are an oat-field Hutter. That is wellness as it should be. I, myself, was an orchard Hutter in my younglinghood. That's another bowl to be served at another time in another place. Pekosh! I, the chosen under-lioness of Obble, welcome you, candidate Hutter. Are you most certain that you aren't a sorceress? Stated the foremost of the 4 cloaked figures. Won't you climb down from the Jellic Miffin and think about our problems? I am not a sorceress. I will climb down from what you said. I do not understand many of the things you say, Orchard Hutter, said little Hutter. You may call me Under-Lioness. It is a title, not a name. No shame, said the understanding, hooded Obbler. As little Hutter found footholds in the hard-angled flanks of the bulky, cat-headed machine, she heard the grind, groan, creak of the pit closing above. She looked up in time to see it press shut. So, no retreat. Go forward, she thought. She dropped the final few feet to the floor of the cracked cavern. The cavern was cracked and creviced. She turned to face the Obblers. When she did, they gasped and shrank back. In fear? No. In awe? Partially. In wonderment? Exactly. Oh, so, said voice 1. Never to be believed, said voice 2. Our troubles are vanished, said voice 3. A mirror of her younglinghood, murmured voice 4, that of the under-lioness. What do you mean? What are you saying? Asked little Hutter. Movement in the shadows of the cavern. What movement? Obblers emerging, flowing in from tunnels, stepping out from crevices, rising from twisty dark cracks in the floor. How many? Enough. More than enough. Dozens. All whispering low, muttering babble. It's true, just look, Ison. It's about time. I couldn't have gone another day. Yes, you could, and you would. Is it the new arch-lioness? Looks like it. Sure does look like it. Well, anyway. The under-lioness raised both of her hands, and the dozens of Obblers fell silent. Hooded and cloaked in grays and greens, they surrounded little Hutter and waited. They seemed to be expecting her to do some or some other thing. Buckle-tar torches blazed in their sconces on the walls, lighting the cavern a flickery orange and throwing long black shadows. I don't understand anything. Why are you looking at me? Said little Hutter. Oh, youngling in tunic and tanner breeches, time will reveal. Obblers, chant, then shouted the under-lioness. Ooh, sounded the obblers, and run rivers of tickle fingers fluttered little Hutter head to toe, wave after wave. She bathed in a bliss unbound. The obbler chant faded to echo. Now, said the under lioness quietly, I will lead you to the orangery before she departs down the river of flames. It will be so. It will be fine. It will be good. The mass of obblers opened a lane in their midst. The lane led to a tunnel. The under lioness gestured to Little Hutter, nodded. Little Hutter, stunned to dreamy, saw all of the obblers smiling and nodding. Forward, she stumbled and tottered forward down the lane. Chapter 11, Oranary. The under lioness scuttled ahead, jabbering all the while, an unbroken weave of words, riding the wind of her breath. We were down to it, I can tell you, her flat board desperate. Naturally, there being no pledge breakers among us, we could not leave the caverns. Imagine, to rely on the ogre. What jocker fuss? More likely to fill a dimple with the sky. Watch out there. It gets darker the downer we go. Here, hang on to the hem of my cloak. That's better. Soon you will be able to see by the light of the fire river. The oranary is waiting there. I hope she's waiting there. She should be waiting there. It can't be too late. You're here, aren't you? She will speak to you. She will send you the solution we need. It has to be hoped. Oat on oat. I tried. Oh, I tried. Not a word could I get, not a blump or a blap. Why did she do it? Why choose to become an oranary? Did she sit down of a morning and say, well, I think I'll be living fire today. Yes, living fire, the very thing. Such a thought never crossed my mind, I can tell you. So dark was the darkness of the steep sloping tunnel that Little Hutter had to blink her eyes to discover whether or not they were open. She held tightly to the cloak of the under lioness, and briskly they whisked along. After one while and a good fat section of another while, a rosy dimness appeared in the depths. The under lioness continued to weave words. See now, we approach. Not much longer. Now, Hutter, here's what you should do. Stand and ask. Ask how to repair the Jellic Niffin. The oranary, by my carefully studied calculation, can't but help to help, seeing that your face is the very image of her own youngling Hutter self thousands of mounds of cattle ago. Fair thought, perceived truth. How can we test for Gimpus when the Jellic Niffin won't rise? Well, I ask you how. I mean, be fair and true, as taught. Be fair and true. Never mind, we are here. This spot. Step forward, Hutter. Do your duty. The under lioness brought Little Hutter to where the tunnel opened out onto an underground river flow of leaping fire. Buckletar sludge hissed ablaze with blue and yellow fingers of flame. Little Hutter stared in awe at the boiling and red, writhing, churning inferno. The under lioness nudged her in the back, pushing her forward. The heat. The youngling turned. I mumbled Little Hutter vacantly. Her mind was empty. Go ahead, urged the under lioness. I began Little Hutter again. Heat and waves crashed against her. In the middle of the river, a form of fire appeared. It had willowy arms and knowing eyes. It cast a scampering black shadow on the orange-lit cavern wall. It dove and swam, bathing in flaming lava. It approached Little Hutter. It thought, when I go to live on the sun, it will be warm enough. I will be. But what is that? What? I almost remember. Surface creature? The oranary, as you have of course guessed, had a hazy thought, a fleeting memory. Arch? Myth? It dove to drink molten brimstone, hoping to clear the turmoil flaring flame ropes in its brain. It rubbed its face with burning Buckletar. Ah, the Buckletar will be warmer on the sun when I go to live there. It will be. She stands there still. She is so light. Was it? The oranary, wrapped in red and yellow sparking flames, floated closer to where Little Hutter stood. The oranary's knowing eyes, unblinking but blazing, were gripped by the somehow familiar sight of Little Hutter's face. Blazing eyes to vacant eyes, they stared one at the other and back. Then the oranary rose like a wave of fire and dove away. Little Hutter reeled back and fell heavily, collapsing in a faint. The underlying lioness sprang to her side. Wake, Hutter! Did you... The under lioness, pausing when Little Hutter blinked and opened her eyes. They were vacant no more. Underlioness, time is important. I need your assistance to repair the Jellic Miffin, said Little Hutter, bouncing to her feet and racing off up the tunnel. Chapter 12. To turn the wheels and cranks. Word of Little Hutter's every action flew lockety up the tunnel from obler to obler and reached the cracked assembly hall cavern long before Little Hutter herself did. Truly it is known that the oblers all, maiden to ancient, with bowed heads, palms raised, and hoods thrown back, had arranged themselves in rows to greet the new arch-lioness with obler hope in their obler hearts. New arch-lioness? Little Hutter? Yes, so they believed. Little Hutter scarcely knew what was happening to her. Thoughts, strange, unused, dusty chambers in the caverns of her mind suddenly lit up, fueled with a clarity of purpose, a revelation of instruction. And thump, 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 she ran along up through bowing rows of oblers until she verily reached the cavern where sat the giant mechanical Miffin. Her mind spun calculations to lock in place. She gulped air into her burning lungs. Never had she run so fast, so far, so up. She leapt unbidden to a lever on the wall and gave it a cuff with her open hand. She whirled away to the wheels and cranks. Her straight black hair bounced and bobbed. Push, pull, turn, grimace, the woven ropes, all rotted away. She whirled back to wave wildly at the oblers. Oblers, when I am prepared and give the sign, chant the chant of hope. Underlioness, bring me a cloak. New made, snipped up, today is not tomorrow, cried out Little Hutter in a voice of authority which never before had been heard. The oblers milled about instantly, hooding themselves and assembling themselves into a fair roving chant mass. They were ready. They waited. The underlioness fled and returned in the mints of a nonce with a freshly fine woven new Ibler cloak. She offered it to Little Hutter, who snatched it away with a nod of thanks and draped it over the largest of the grooved pulleys. There were grooved pulleys. Little Hutter stepped back, hands on hips in satisfaction. This will do nicely, she said. Bring me a buckle torch, Underlioness, if you would be of aid to me. The Underlioness hurried to the wall and wrenched the torch from its sconce. Its flame fluttered orange-like shadows. Eagerly the Underlioness brought the torch to Little Hutter. Little Hutter grasped it firmly and turned to touch it to the cloak. Chant, oblers, chant now, she ordered. Yee, chanted the oblers. The flames crawled green, then blue, then silver-white over the cloak and along to travel from pulley, to crank, to wheel, winding and flaring in strings of display. A white burst of sparks erupted and fell away. Still the oblers chanted, glued with strong purpose to their bidden task. The fire died, wisped away in smoke, and in its place brawny ropes, thickly threaded, wound from wheel to crank through pulley. Little Hutter raised a soft-lined boot and nudged with the gentlest tap a low and jeweled lever. The lever was jeweled. Creak, rumble, wheels turned, cogs meshed. The great mechanical Miffin moved. The oblers abandoned the chant and took up cheers of joy. Saucer round eyes on the cat-like head of the machine blazed forth yellow fire. The drip-fanged mouth opened and closed. The metal angles of the body were suddenly clothed in black flames and red. The Jellic Miffin had been repaired. Arch-lioness, 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 roared the mass of oblers over and over and over, and even another time after that. Next time, the conclusion.